When she shared her heart, she discovered her amazing boss was a millionaire falling in love. Jessie stood behind the bustling counter of the diner, the smell of sizzling bacon and fresh coffee filling the air. Her heart raced as she wiped down the same table for the third time that evening. The late-night crowd drifted in and out, their laughter mingling with the clinking of silverware. But her mind was a storm of worry. Rent was due, and the eviction notice still sat on her kitchen table, a relentless reminder of her daily struggle. Every smile she forced was a shield against the world, but deep down, fear gripped her tightly. "Jessie, another cup of coffee," called out Mrs. Anderson, the town's elderly matriarch whose penchant for gossip was rivaled only by her love for pancakes. As Jessie poured the dark brew, she couldn't help but feel a pang of envy for those who didn't have to scrape by, who lived without the constant shadow of financial worry. Her gaze met Tom's across the diner, a gentleman with tousled hair and a warm smile that seemed so insincere in this crazy world. He was her boss, though he rarely wielded authority. Instead, Tom kept things running smoothly, a quiet presence behind the scenes. She learned to trust him, sharing fleeting jokes and light conversation. Tonight, however, something felt different. Jessie felt the weight of her burdens pulling her down, ready to shatter the facade she had grown so accustomed to wear. Taking a deep breath, she approached him at the counter as he stacked menus. "Tom, can I talk to you for a sec?" she asked, her voice a tense whisper. "Sure, Jessie. What's on your mind?" He turned, genuine concern flickering in his hazel eyes. Jessie looked around. The regulars were so caught up in their lives, they wouldn't notice her bare soul. "I got an eviction notice today. I'm scared, Tom. Lily needs a home, she needs stability." Her voice cracked, a truth spilling out that had been tightly held. Tom's demeanor shifted. He blinked, a flash of vulnerability crossing his face. "I didn't know," he stammered, his own life as a businessman cloaked in silence. In that moment, she noticed the heaviness in his gaze, and perhaps a glimmer of something more. They weren't just two people working in the same diner. They were two souls seeking connection in a shaky world. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. "Jessie, I'll do whatever I can to help," he said softly. Yet beneath those words, Jessie sensed a longing in him, a desire to break free from his refined reputation. Maybe Tom was more than the unassuming diner owner. Maybe he was that anchor she had needed all along. But as news of the investor eager to buy out the diner surfed through the community, Jessie's hope began to flicker like a dying candle. Her heart sank again, devastated by the possibility of losing the one place that felt like home. As she glanced at the smiling faces around her, she feared the laughter would soon be erased, leaving behind only echoes of their shared moments. As their eyes locked, a silent question hung heavy in the air. Could love flourish amidst the chaos, binding their diverging worlds together? With her spirit wavering, Jessie stood poised at the brink of change, uncertain of what the next chapter would hold. Jessie's heart hammered in her chest as Tom's words hung in the air. "I'll do whatever I can to help." It felt like a lifeline in the vast ocean of uncertainty she was drowning in. Yet another part of her was wary. She didn't want to be a burden. "Tom, I don't want you to feel responsible for my problems," she said, her voice trembling. "You've got your own things to deal with." "I shouldn't. I want to help, Jessie," he interrupted, his tone firm yet tender. "There's no shame in asking for support. We're a team, right?" She nodded, a flicker of warmth igniting in her chest. But the looming question of what this meant for them lingered. Were they really just friends helping each other? Or was there something deeper stirring between them? Suddenly, the bell above the diner door jingled, tearing her from her thoughts. A tall man stepped inside, wearing an expensive-looking suit that seemed out of place in their humble diner. He surveyed the room, his expression unreadable. and Jessie couldn't help but feel a shiver creep up her spine. It was the investor, the one who wanted to buy the diner. "Oh no," she whispered, her heart racing again. She exchanged a worried glance with Tom, who straightened instinctively, falling into the role of the assertive leader. Tom moved towards the man, extending a handshake. "Welcome. Can I get you something to eat?" "Not here to eat, I'm afraid," the investor replied with a tight smile that sent chills down Jessie's spine. "I'm here to talk business." Jessie felt a knot form in her stomach, watching as Tom's face went serious. Disappointment flashed across his features when he realized the man's intent. This wasn't just about money, it was about their lives, their community. As the two men began what felt like an exhausting negotiation, Jessie busied herself at the coffee machine, her mind racing. So many people relied on the diner for more than just meals. It was a gathering place, a home away from home. All around her were the lives intertwined. Families celebrating, friends laughing, and kids making memories. The thought of it all disappearing tore at her heart. Tom turned to her amidst the exchange, and she could see the tension lining his jaw. He needed her. "This is getting tense. We need to show him what this diner means to us." Jessie stepped forward, her heart pounding defiantly. "Excuse me," she interrupted, gathering her courage. "Can I just speak for a moment?" All eyes turned toward her, including the investor's raised brow. "You're saying a diner like this is important?" he asked, skepticism dripping from his words. "Yes," Jessie replied, finding that spark within her. "This diner is more than a business. It's our community. It's laughter, it's love, it's roots. It's a place people come when they need comfort or a connection." She glanced at Tom, who was looking at her with a mixture of surprise and admiration. She felt emboldened by the warmth of his gaze. "We work hard for every penny, and we take pride in that. This place shaped us, molded us. It's not just about money." A heavy silence followed, and Jessie held her breath, waiting for the investor to react. Slowly, the man's expression changed, and there was a hint of surprise in his eyes, maybe even a flicker of respect. "You are passionate. I'll give you that," he admitted, running a hand through his slick hair. "But does passion pay the bills?" "Sometimes, it pays more than money ever could," Tom interjected, stepping beside Jessie. "You want to buy the diner? You need to know it's not just a building. It's our shared life." The investor seemed taken aback as he processed their words. "Maybe," Jessie added, her voice steady, "if you truly care about this community, you'd find a way to keep it alive." As the silence stretched on, the tension in the room palpable, Jessie felt a shift. She had laid her heart bare, standing alongside Tom. Did they have a chance to change the course of things? Tom glanced at her, and she read his thoughts in his earnest gaze. Whatever happened next would define their paths, perhaps even draw them closer together. But then, the investor shrugged, still pondering. "I'll think about it," he said, making his way toward the door. Jessie's breath hitched. What would happen next? Would it all slip through their fingers? As the door swung shut behind him, Jessie felt a wave of uncertainty crash over her. All she could do was hope that they had made an impact, though the looming threat of eviction remained. In that moment, Tom stepped closer, his voice low and intense. "No matter what happens, Jessie, you aren't alone in this." Her heart fluttered with gratitude and something deeper. But was it love or just a moment of solidarity? Feeling emboldened in that quiet space between them, she asked, "What if we teamed up? Tom, you and me together?" The air crackled with potential as she stood on the edge of something entirely new, not knowing what the world would offer her next. But the real question lingered. Could their partnership bloom into something beautiful against all odds? Jessie grabbed the edge of the counter, her fingers trembling as she watched Tom's reaction. His brow furrowed for a moment, as if considering the implications of her bold suggestion. Did she just push the line between friendship and something more? The air thickened with unspoken words, and she held her breath, waiting for him to respond. "Together?" Tom echoed, the hint of a smile breaking through the tension. "You mean like a partnership? Running the diner together?" The warmth of his gaze ignited a spark of hope in her chest. Yes, we could combine our strengths. I know the heart of this place, and you have the know-how to navigate business. Maybe if we truly work as a team, we can prove to him how vital the diner is to all of us. Tom's serious expression shifted into a contemplative one. It sounds risky, Jessie. What if he doesn't take us seriously? Then we'll show him, Jessie replied, determination threading through her voice. We have nothing to lose but everything to gain. What if we organized a community event? Something to reconnect everyone to this place? Tom, now fully invested in the idea, smiled wider and stepped closer. Whatever we do, we need to act fast. He might try to pull the rug out from under us before we even get a chance. Jessie nodded, excitement bubbling inside her. It was not just about saving the diner. It was about standing alongside Tom in a way she had admired from afar. This venture could draw them closer, and maybe discovering more about each other would be the key to unlocking what was brewing beneath the surface. Let us set a date, Jessie said, the enthusiasm pulsing in her voice. We can create a flyer, start a social media campaign. Get everyone involved. People love this place, right? Tom's eyes lit up, his energy shifting. We could even include some live music, maybe a local band. Everyone would rally around that. They started brainstorming immediately, the dishes waiting in the back of their minds, the dwindling coffee pots forgotten. The diner transformed into a hub of possibilities, filled with laughter and ideas bouncing back and forth like an impromptu brainstorming session. Hours seemed to slip through their fingers, the world outside fading away as they poured their hearts into planning. It felt like magic, the two of them connected by shared passion and hope. But just when Jessie thought everything was falling into place, the ding of the diner bell interrupted their exhilaration. The door swung wide, and in walked the investor again, a small smirk on his face. I came to discuss your little speeches, he said. His tone dripped with sarcasm. Jessie's heart sank, dread pooling in her stomach. Had they done enough? His presence sent a wave of anxiety through the diner, a reminder that the fight wasn't over. Tom turned to Jessie, his expression shifting to one of determination. We haven't given up, he stated firmly, taking a step forward. We're ready to fight for this diner. You might not understand its value, but we do. Jessie gathered herself, inspired by Tom's confidence. And we're not backing down. This diner is essential to our community. We'll show you. The investor paced a few steps, assessing them both with a calculating gaze. Fine. Let us see what you can do. I'm intrigued. With that, he nodded and turned on his heel, leaving the diner in a charged silence. Jessie's breaths came out in shaky puffs, her mood shifting like the weather. I can't believe he's giving us a chance, she finally breathed, a mix of disbelief and hope pouring over her. Tom placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Jessie, this is our moment. We'll pour everything we have into making this event unforgettable. The buzz of the day loomed large ahead of them. But as Tom smiled at her, an undeniable connection formed between them, a heartbeat sinking through the challenges ahead. What would they uncover as they planned together for the community they loved? As Jessie looked into his eyes, she wondered if love was already starting to weave its own thread into their story, amid survival and hope. And just as her mind began to spin possibilities, she couldn't help but think. What other secrets lay behind Tom's confident demeanor? Secrets that might change everything. Jessie felt her heart race as the exhilaration of the investor's unexpected interest swirled inside her. The plans for the community event stirred visions of people gathering, laughter echoing over plates of food, and perhaps the sound of Tom's guitar strumming softly in the background. But there was that nagging feeling in the back of her mind. Was it really possible for them to turn things around? Could they truly save the diner and, at the same time, find something deeper between them? Pushing fear aside, she focused on the excitement surrounding their plans. Okay, we need to start things rolling, Tom said, pulling out his phone. Let us create a Facebook event. Get the buzz going. His enthusiasm was infectious, and Jessie found herself grinning widely. Right? And we should make it colorful, bright. Something that captures the spirit of this place. She rushed to grab paper towels and a set of colored markers, her fingers dancing across the surface as she sketched out the flyer. Tom leaned over, watching her with admiration. "You've got a real knack for this. That looks fantastic." It was moments like this that made the trust Jessie felt for Tom swell. As they began to share ideas freely, she noticed how their voices blended, each of them building on the other's thoughts like an intricate puzzle coming together. Hours passed in a whirl of laughter and discussions, gently slipping into playful banter. Tom playfully nudged her when she got a word wrong, and she retaliated by tossing a crumpled ball of paper at him. But as darkness crept in, a different tension filled the air. Jessie stole glances at Tom as he worked through the plans, that secret flicker in his eyes making her wonder what thoughts swirled within him. "Hey, why do you care so much about this diner?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Trying to break through the haze of uncertainty surrounding their friendship, he paused, his expression turning serious. "This place has always felt like home. It's where I grew up, collected memories, family gatherings, friends coming together, supporting each other. I didn't realize until recently how much I would lose if it goes away." Jessie's heart twisted at his words. It was more than business to him. It was personal. She matched his gaze, feeling her own barriers start to break down. The knowledge of how much this diner meant to him made her more determined to succeed. "Then let us make sure it stays," she said, her voice steady. "For you, for everyone who loves it." Tom smiled softly, and for a moment, the air was thick with unspoken feelings. But just then, a crash echoed from the back room, snapping them out of their reverie. Jessie jumped, her stomach lurching. They both rushed to the back, where a stack of plates had toppled over. "Just a little mess?" Tom chuckled nervously, but Jessie's heart raced, not just from the surprise. She felt electric around him, her world filled with the clutter of possibilities. When Tom turned back to face her, a seriousness washed over his expression. "Jessie, there is something I need to tell you," but before he could finish, the door swung open again, and it was the investor this time with a crew of people behind him, all with notepads and cameras. "I decided to bring in some media to see how this event is shaping up." Jessie's pulse quickened at the sight, their plans escalating from dreams into a frantic reality. What did this mean for them? Did they have what it takes to impress a crowd with barely any time left? As she exchanged a glance with Tom, she wondered, would they rise to the occasion, or would their ambitions crumble before them? The weight of everything ahead hung in the air, but one thing was clear: this whirlwind was only just beginning. Jessie inhaled sharply as the investor's entourage filled the diner. The sound of their footsteps echoed off the tiled floor, mingling with the chatter of the kitchen staff preparing for the evening rush. Tom looked at her wide-eyed, and she could feel the air buzzing around them, thick with anticipation and possibility. "We're going to show them what we have," he said, determination flashing across his face. Jessie nodded, her heart thumping in her chest as she refocused on the task at hand. This was their moment. This was the time to make the diner shine. They quickly scrambled to tidy up, adjusting the chair arrangements, fluffing the tablecloths, and placing brightly colored flowers in vases. Tom grabbed his guitar and positioned it against the wall, a smile breaking his serious expression as he glanced back at Jessie. "Think I'll need to warm up a little." "Definitely. Let us make it feel like home for everyone," she replied, pulling a few stray, crumpled paper towels together. A little ache swirled in her stomach at the idea of their hard work being put to the test, but she stifled it. She had to believe in them, in this chance. The glittering cameras clicked and flashed, capturing every moment in this little haven they were trying to protect. The investor, flanked by his crew, moved around the diner, seemingly pleased. Jessie could barely breathe as she watched the back of his head nod in approval. "This could be amazing," Tom whispered to her, watching the investor's admiring glance at their decorations. But just as the tension began to ease, the investor's assistant approached. "Excuse me," the assistant said, looking directly at Jessie. "Can you tell me what makes this diner so special? What do you hope to achieve here?" Jessie's mind raced. She wanted to say something that led straight to their hearts. "This isn't just a diner. It's a community. People come here to connect, share their lives, and support one another." is a haven in an ever-changing world, and it needs to stay that way. Her voice trembled a little, but she felt a surge of passion. She looked at Tom, who was nodding along, eyes shining with encouragement. "They're right," he added, stepping forward. "I've grown up here. From every birthday cake to each broken heart and celebration, this place has seen it all. We want to give back and remind everyone that they have a place to return to." As the words hung in the air, Jessie felt a connection solidify between them. Something deeper than the diner itself. Something that could be their shared mission. The investor rubbed his chin thoughtfully, noting down their passionate words. The atmosphere shifted as he looked up, meeting Jessie's gaze directly. "That's exactly the kind of story that sells. I can see the heart you both have for this place." Feeling buoyed by those words, Jessie released a breath she didn't realize she had been holding. Maybe they could really do this. Just then, the sound of Tom's guitar cut through the din as he began strumming a soft melody, filling the space with warmth. People began to gather, drawn in by the music. This was the spark they needed as laughter and conversation bubbled up around them. Jessie and Tom exchanged knowing glances. Everything felt perfect until suddenly, the investor's eyes narrowed. "However, something about this pitch doesn't sit right with me. I need to know, what will you do if it fails?" The air thickened with uncertainty at his words. Panic unfurled in Jessie's stomach again, threatening to crush her newfound confidence. Failure wasn't an option. But what did that even mean for them? Before she could reply, Tom stepped closer to her, the weight of his hand on her shoulder grounding her. They were in this together. Their plans, their dreams, everything hung on the edge now, and Jessie realized that they needed to find a way to connect not just with the investor, but also with each other. "Tom," she started, wanting to voice her fears, but the moment was broken as the investor directed his crew to film within the diner. She was losing her chance, and as Tom looked at her with intention, she understood that now was their moment to truly shine or risk losing it all. Could they keep the magic alive, or was the weight of the world too heavy for them to bear? With her heart racing, Jessie felt the stakes growing higher than ever. Something had to give, but what would it be? The atmosphere in the diner shifted as Tom's fingers continued to dance over the strings of his guitar. A gentle melody weaving through the tension hanging in the air. Jessie could see the patrons captivated, some swaying gently while others exchanged smiles, oblivious to the inner turmoil she felt. She longed for that kind of ease, but the investor's hard gaze still weighed heavily on them. "Look," the investor said, his voice steady, drawing Jessie's attention back to the moment. "Failure is a part of any business. I simply need to know how you plan to navigate it if it happens." His words were like a cleaver cutting through her hope. Jessie bit her lip, her mind racing. What did failure look like for the diner? The prospect of it felt like a churning sea beneath her. We wouldn't just give up," she finally managed to respond. "If we hit a bump, we find a way to keep going. We're not just investing in food or service. We're investing in a feeling and unwavering spirit." Around them, the music faded under the weight of the investor's skepticism. She could almost see him calculating the risks, deciding which angles to play. "You need a clear strategy," he replied, eyebrows raised. "I need to know what that plan looks like if things turn sour." Tom stepped in before Jessie could reply, a protective fierceness in his voice. "We'll rally our community. We have done that before and we're prepared to do it again. We'll host events, run promotions, we'll use every ounce of creativity we have to bring people back. This diner is their home." His words drew a ripple of support from the onlookers, a reminder that people were what truly fueled their success. The investor paused, his expression softening just slightly. Jessie watched closely, desperate for an opening. A sign that her determination was breaking through the barriers he built around himself. "You do have a passion for this place," he admitted, almost grudgingly, glancing back at the diner filled with life. "But passion only goes so far. You need a business plan, one that accounts for mistakes, holds you accountable. Otherwise, you risk losing everything." As fear rocked through Jessie, she squeezed Tom's hand, grounding herself in his unwavering presence. "We will create that plan. We will hold ourselves accountable." But we need the chance. We need your support to keep our home alive, she said, her voice firm, filled with the strength he provided. In that moment, Jessie realized it wasn't just about the diner. It was about trust. Trusting herself, trusting Tom, and trusting that even this investor could feel their authenticity. She could see the gears turning in his mind, and something unlocked inside her. A stranger's gaze caught hers across the room, a woman with a warm smile, nodding almost imperceptibly as if to say, "You've got this." Jessie felt a swell of courage rise in her chest. Okay, the investor relented, albeit hesitantly. "Show me what you're capable of. Share your plan and I'll listen. But I want to see the resilience you talk about." Jessie couldn't suppress her smile, but she knew this was only the beginning. Tom flashed her an encouraging grin as he transitioned into an upbeat song, the cheerful notes igniting the diner's energy once more. "Let us do this," she whispered to Tom, feeling the warmth of hope envelop her. But as the song played, she couldn't shake the underlying fear. What if their plans weren't enough? As Tom strummed confidently, the nervousness gnawed at the edges of her mind. With eyes fixed on her, she felt the weight of their dreams and aspirations. Could they truly turn this moment into a turning point? Would the storm ahead help them rise, or would it lead them to despair? When the music faded, she prepared to unveil their biggest idea, an event that could showcase the diner's true essence and bring the community together. But little did she know, this event would put everything on the line, testing not just their business, but the very fabric of their friendship. What would happen when the spotlight shone upon them, and the community witnessed their journey? Jessie could only hope it wouldn't reveal the cracks that lay beneath. As she stood ready to share their vision, she could feel that the stakes were not just about the diner anymore. It was about love, friendship, and the fragility of dreams. What if the truth they revealed turned out to be the one that bonded them or broke them apart? Jessie stood at the front of the diner, heart racing as the last notes of Tom's song lingered in the air. The ambience crackled with energy, the laughter and chatter of the patrons blending into a beautiful cacophony. She inhaled deeply, letting the familiar scent of coffee and fresh pastries settle into her lungs as she prepared to speak. This was more than just about the diner, it was about their lives, their dreams, and the reality that everything hung in the balance. "Okay, everyone," she began, her voice trembling slightly but firm. "Thank you for being here tonight. We've got something special coming up that we believe will not only keep this diner thriving, but will also bring us closer together as a community." Excitement danced in the glances of her friends, family, and even the investor, his expression unreadable but attentive. She took a moment to gather herself, her pulse thrumming in her ears, and continued, "We want to host a Diner Day festival. It'll be a celebration of everything that makes this place special: the food, the people, and the stories we all share. Our goal? To remind everyone that this diner is more than just a business. It's a home." As she spoke, Jessie noticed Tom moving through the crowd, his eyes lighting up as he joined her side, instinctively picking up on her energy. Together, they painted a vivid picture. Games, live music, local vendors, and a cooking competition to showcase their unique dishes. The idea was to create an event that would draw people in, not just their regulars but newcomers too, eager to experience the heart of their diner. "The festival will be our way of saying thank you to everyone who has supported us through thick and thin," Jessie added, her voice gaining strength. "And we will donate a portion of the proceeds to local charities to show our commitment to our community. We believe that when we lift each other up, we can create something truly beautiful." A wave of murmurs rippled through the crowd. Jessie's stomach fluttered with hope. She caught the eye of that warm smiling stranger again, and it felt like a lifeline in the sea of uncertainty. "But we can't do this alone," Jessie continued, her heart pounding. "We need your help. We need to rally together, spread the word, volunteer, bring your friends. Let us turn this idea into something magnificent." Cheers erupted from the patrons, and Jessie could hardly believe the swell of enthusiasm around her. Tom stepped closer, a proud grin on his face as he sensed the momentum building. But in the back of her mind, doubt whispered insidiously. What if they failed? What if no one showed up? Her breath caught as she imagined the crushing disappointment. Just when she feared her insecurities might spill over, Tom leaned into her ear, whispering, "We've got this. Together, remember?" The investor, though still guarded, appeared intrigued now. He leaned forward, elbows resting on the table. "How do you plan to market this event?" His question was pointed but focused, and for a heartbeat all the room felt still. Jessie swallowed hard, determined to prove they had thoughtful strategies beyond mere passion. "We will utilize social media, connect with local businesses for sponsorship, and reach out through flyers and community boards," she responded, gaining composure. "This festival will create a buzz. People want to be part of something special." With every word, Jessie felt a surge of adrenaline. If they could just ignite enough interest, it might give their plans the momentum they needed. The energy shifted dramatically as people around her began to brainstorm, offering ideas, calling out suggestions, pulling each other from their seats to get involved. It was chaotic but invigorating. The simple act of sharing their dreams had sparked something in everyone. Yet, as the fervor grew, Jessie clutched Tom's hand tighter, the weight of responsibility settling back on her shoulders. She realized this wasn't just a festival. It was a testament to who they were and what they stood for. She could feel the stakes rising like the flames of hope in her heart. What if they poured their souls into this, and it wasn't enough? Tom's eyes locked with hers, and she could see his unwavering faith. But in that moment, the truth hit her hard. If this event didn't work, not only would they lose the diner, but it could fracture the relationships built around it, especially with Tom. As they exchanged determined glances, a new thought dawned on Jessie. If they were willing to risk everything for this festival, what else could she be willing to risk? What truths remained unspoken between her and Tom, truths that could alter their friendship forever? The applause began to fade into a buzz of excitement, but Jessie knew that the real challenge was just beginning. How far would she go to protect not just her dreams, but her heart? The days that followed were a flurry of activity. Jessie barely had time to breathe, swept up in a whirlwind of plans and promises. Flyers were printed, social media posts exploded with excitement, and the diner buzzed more than ever with patrons eager to contribute their ideas for the festival. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. Tom was a constant presence. They worked seamlessly together, bouncing ideas off one another as they created timelines and spreadsheets. He brought laughter into the process, his humor deflating her anxious thoughts like too much air in a balloon. Every time she felt overwhelmed, he would catch her eye and flash that infectious grin of his, as if silently reassuring her that they were in this together. But in the quiet moments, the fleeting seconds when the din of the diner faded away, Jessie's doubts crept back in. Was this truly going to be enough? The fear gnawed at her, particularly when she found herself pondering how their success depended almost entirely on the community's response. Would they really rally together? Would this be their saving grace or the end of what they held dear? As she tossed and turned in bed each night, Jessie's thoughts shifted to Tom. There was something electric between them, emotions swirling like a vivid painting. She caught herself worrying about not just the diner, but their friendship. What if the festival didn't turn out the way they hoped? Would that impact how he saw her? And worse, what if it changed what she felt for him? One evening, after a long day at the diner, Jessie and Tom sat on the back steps, the air thick with the sweet aroma of summer. She gazed at the stars above, daring to dream, when Tom broke the comfortable silence. "You've really put your heart into this," he said softly, a hint of surprise in his voice. Jessie chuckled to mask the tension coiling in her stomach. "Just trying to save our little slice of heaven." He leaned closer, and she could see the warmth in his eyes reflecting the glow of the overhead lights. "You know, Jessie, I never thought I'd say this, but I admire you more every day. You have this amazing ability to bring people together. It just feels special." His words sent a rush through her. It was the encouragement she needed, yet it also left her vulnerable. "But what if I fail?" Her voice came out quieter than she intended. "Then at least we know we tried. Together. What's important is that we go all in." He squeezed her hand gently, grounding her in that moment as they sat there. The world around them faded away. Unspoken words lingered in the space between them. Jessie felt the heat rise in her cheeks. She wanted to tell him so many things: how much his friendship meant, how he made her feel something beautiful and terrifying all at once. But she hesitated, trapped in the fear of crossing an invisible line. Suddenly, their phones buzzed simultaneously, yanking them from their reverie. It was a message from a local radio station. They wanted to do an interview about the festival and promote it on air. Jessie's heart raced, mixing excitement with anxiety. "This could boost our visibility," she exclaimed, unable to contain her joy. But deep down, she wondered, was she ready for the scrutiny? Tom's eyes glinted with enthusiasm. "Absolutely. This is our chance to spread the word." What started as a simple celebration was turning into something larger, a beacon of community, and Jessie couldn't decide whether she should be over the moon or terrified. The festival was shaping into a far bigger challenge than she had ever imagined, but it was also a chance to expose her heart and the possibilities it held. As they made plans for the interview, Jessie felt a strange pull towards Tom. Was it just friendship blossoming? Or was it more? Questions danced in her mind. Could their shared dream create a bridge to something deeper? Was she brave enough to take that leap? The thought lingered as they continued to plan, each brainstorming session filled with laughter and stolen glances that lingered just a bit too long. What she didn't expect, and what haunted her thoughts, was the idea that this festival could change everything, not just for the diner, but for her and Tom. And as she walked home that night under the blanket of stars, Jessie realized that the stakes had never been higher. Would she reveal her feelings and risk everything? Or would she keep her heart locked away, afraid of losing the one person who made this journey worthwhile? The morning sun filtered through the diner's windows, casting a warm glow over the familiar space. Jessie stood behind the counter, polishing a stack of freshly cleaned coffee mugs. The hum of chatter and clattering of dishes filled the air, creating a comforting backdrop to her racing thoughts. The radio buzzed with news about their upcoming festival, a reminder of how close they were to the big day. Tom arrived, his energy contagious as he pushed through the door. "Morning, superstar." He grinned, his enthusiasm lighting up the diner. "Ready for today?" Jessie smiled, but this time a knot of anxiety twisted in her stomach. "I think so. Just trying to wrap my head around everything." She glanced towards the radio, which was playing one of their jingles. It made her heart race with both excitement and trepidation. "Don't overthink it," he said, pouring himself a cup of coffee. "Just be yourself. You know how to do this." His unwavering confidence bolstered her spirits. They had spent countless hours brainstorming and planning, and his belief in her was a lifeline she desperately needed. The interview today could be the turning point. As they worked through the morning, the diner filled with the buzz of regulars. Jessie caught snippets of conversation, people discussing food vendors, music, and the parade. It was uplifting, and her heart swelled with hope. Yet, amidst the excitement, doubts flickered like shadows in her mind. Later that afternoon, moments before the radio team arrived, Jessie and Tom stood near the front door of the diner, reviewing their talking points. "Just remember, this is all about the community," Tom said, his voice low and reassuring. "Right?" She nodded, mentally rehearsing the key phrases. But the moment she felt ready, a wave of self-doubt crashed over her again. "What if I mess this up? What if I can't handle the pressure?" Tom stepped closer, his voice earnest. "Jessie, you're going to be amazing. Just speak from your heart. Even if you stumble, I promise it'll be okay." "Thanks," she exhaled, trying to embrace his encouragement. Just then, the radio team entered, bringing an air of professionalism that made Jessie's pulse quicken. She fought back the urge to retreat, knowing how important this moment could be for the diner. The interview began, and at first Jessie faltered, her words tumbling out in a flustered rush. But gradually, as she spoke about the festival's mission, about bringing the community together, she started to feel the rhythm of their conversation. With every question, she grew more confident, feeling the energy that sparked between her and Tom as he chimed in with laughter and shared anecdotes. But then the host shifted the discussion into more personal territory. "And Jessie, Can you share more about what motivates you beyond the diner? I've heard whispers of a special connection here. Her cheeks burned. Tom shot her an encouraging glance, but the invisible line she feared crossed her mind in a haze. She hesitated, but the words tumbled out unbidden. It's about more than saving a diner. It's about community, family. And honestly, there is someone who is someone special? The host interjected, winking towards Tom. The light banter felt like a spotlight suddenly shining on her, and Jessie's heart raced. Thomas' expression shifted slightly, a hint of surprise mixed with anticipation. Yes, Tom has been my rock during this, she replied, hoping to weave relief into her words. But the weight of the moment settled on her, pulling her deeper into uncertainty. With their eyes locked, Jessie realized that their shared moment was bubbling with something more profound than just friendship. A fleeting thought crossed her mind. Could this all lead to something beautiful? Would this journey unravel feelings she had buried deep within her? As the interview wrapped up, applause rang out from the diners. Jessie smiled at the encouragement around her, but she couldn't shake the brewing storm inside. She felt more vulnerable than ever, standing on the precipice of expressing her heart. Tom stepped closer, gratitude radiating from him, but the tension between them sparkled with a different kind of energy. Their eyes locked once more, and Jessie could almost hear the question hanging in the air. Were they ready to confront what lay ahead? Walking home that night, Jessie's mind swirled. The festival was set in motion, but what about them? Just when they were finally gaining momentum, a thought lodged itself in her heart. If she took that leap and shared her true feelings, what metamorphosis awaited on the other side? Would the festival be the turning point not only for the diner but for them as well? The sun rose over the diner, bathing everything in a gentle golden light. Jessie stood in the kitchen, surrounded by the comforting sounds of frying eggs and coffee brewing, but her heart felt heavy. Today was the day of the Diner Day Festival, the culmination of their efforts, yet nerves twisted in her stomach. She replayed the radio interview over and over in her mind. The glimmer of something new had shifted between her and Tom, yet she had held her breath and chosen not to cross that line as the clock ticked closer to festivities. The diner filled with excitement. Patrons arrived early, their chatter rising like a joyful anthem. Jessie's heart raced. When she caught Thomas' eye, he flashed that supportive smile that made her chest flutter. It was time to grab hold of the driving passion behind the festival. Okay, everyone, she shouted, her voice slicing through the chatter. Let us make this day unforgettable. Things are about to kick off. Cheers erupted, and the energy surged like electricity through the room. The tables were adorned with vibrant colors, and the air was rich with laughter and anticipation. As the first event unfolded, Jessie's confidence grew. Her plans for the day flowed seamlessly. The cooking competitions, live music, and local vendors showcased the community's spirit. But there was still an ache in her heart, waiting to be addressed. Would this day also give her the courage to reveal her growing feelings for Tom? She looked for him, spotting him mingling, guitar in hand. He was radiant under the sun, an anchor of calm amid the chaos. A thought struck her. What if she used this moment the way they were surrounded by love and laughter to open her heart? Maybe this was the space where everything could change. Tom, Jessie called, motioning him over. He approached with a grin, the smell of sunshine and hope around him. What's up? He asked, his expression warm and inviting. I want to do something special today. Something that celebrates not just the diner, but us, everything we built together. Tom frowned slightly, curiosity crossing his face. What do you mean? Jessie took a deep breath, willing herself to push through the fear. I want to share with everyone why we're really here to celebrate community, yes, but also to acknowledge how far we've come together. He stepped closer, his gaze steady. You mean, like a speech? More, she exclaimed. Like a partnership. Like us standing in front of everyone to show them what this diner has meant for both of our lives. Together, the air around them thickened with unspoken words, and she could see the wheels turning in Tom's mind. I love that, he replied, a smile breaking through his initial surprise. You're right, this is about all of it. Her heart raced with excitement mingled with apprehension, and she pulled him aside behind the dishwashing station, the world buzzing around them. Tom, I have to be honest. This means more than just a partnership in the diner. The words dripped with vulnerability as she met his gaze. I think you mean something more to me, something deeply special. Tom froze for a moment, then took a step closer. Jessie, I feel the same way. His voice dropped to a whisper, blending with the sounds of joy unfolding outside. Ever since we started planning this, I realized there's something more between us, a connection I didn't see before. Her heart danced, the relief washing over her like a wave. They shared a look that spoke volumes, a silent understanding that the pressure was not only to save the diner, but to embrace what was blossoming between them. Okay, let us do this, Jessie said with conviction, determination flooding back. Together they stepped out into the main area, where the festivities danced in full swing. The crowd buzzed, their enthusiasm palpable. With their hearts entwined by honest intentions, Jessie took the lead, feeling the strength of Tom beside her. Hey, everyone, can I have your attention, please? She called, capturing the audience's focus. The crowd quieted, eager anticipation hanging between them. Today is about our diner, about laughter, food, and community. But it's also about connection. For me, this diner represents a sanctuary, a place where I discovered myself, with the help of someone incredibly special. She glanced at Tom, his eyes wide with pride but softening with warmth. Tom stepped forward, his guitar slung casually on his back. And friends, family, the heartbeat of the diner has always been you. Jessie and I are standing together today, not just as partners in the diner, but as partners in life. We trust that, with all of you, we can nurture this vision together. Cheers erupted, laughter and applause filled the space. Jessie's heart soared, feeling the beat of life all around her, the warmth of their community surrounding them as the festival rolled into the evening. Under the twinkling lights strung above, Jessie and Tom embraced the moment. They found themselves entwined with people who believed in them, and each other, their love woven into the very fabric of the diner. That I end this slice of life. Jessie realized they had transformed not just the future of the diner, but the depth of their bond. They had taken a leap, facing fears together, and that leap had led them to something incredible. As Tom wrapped his arms around her waist, their laughter mingling with the joy around them, Jessie understood that true love could flourish even amid challenges. As long as you were brave enough to share your heart, in that shining moment, she couldn't help but smile, a full heart beating with hope and dreams. And as the music played on, resonating through the walls of the diner, she knew they had built something beautiful together, something that would last far beyond the festival. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It really makes a difference. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Show your support, because only true fans understand how important it is to keep this story alive.